Councilor O'Malley.
Thank you, Mr. Vice President. This is obviously very personal to me. While the hearing order is talking about all three exam schools, a lot of the media reports, and as was alluded by the Council President, has been focused on Latin School. I think many of you know that I bleed purple and white. I owe so much of the success that I have maintained personally and professionally to the 6 years that I spent on Avenue Louis Pasteur. The friendships I made, the challenges that I had, the opportunities that were given to me, including an internship for a former member of this very body. And I want to make sure that every kid in every neighborhood has the same equal and equitable access to that school that I had. And I want to make sure that it remains a strong, robust meritocracy. And those two notions are not in conflict with one another. And unfortunately, sometimes I think through the course of this debate, it seems to be an either-or proposition. It's not. We ought to be focused on both. We ought to be doing both. As an alumnus of the school and as a recently named trustee of the Boston Latin School Association, I've been heartened by efforts that have been made by the school and the district over the last couple of years on some meaningful changes. But I also recognize that a system that on its face looks fair, where every student takes the same test, can be unfair when some students are pushed by their schools and their families to take and study for the test, and other equally bright students struggle on their own. That's why I recognize some good steps that have been taken recently, and also recognize that more need to be taken. Within the last couple of years, we've seen the Latin School Association and others working to grow the jointly funded exam school initiative, which includes not only additional seats to meet full demand, but also program enhancements such as transportation and mail service. We've seen demystifying the promoting the exam school education via outreach through branch libraries, youth clubs, houses of worship, and other community organizations. We've seen an expansion of the advanced work curricula to more elementary schools and the evaluation of curricular rigor and expectation across the elementary school system. We've seen budgeting for more pre-K seats towards a goal of universal provision of this service in line with accepted research-based wisdom regarding the societal benefit of early formal education. We've seen an exploration of the Discovery Program for BPS students, similar to what's being happening in New York City, an initiative that is showing really promising outcomes. And we also need to be doing more to call on our philanthropic and our corporate community partners to tackle exam school issues with serious financial resources. Now, another thing that has been in the works, and as I mentioned, I'm a trustee on the board. The chair of the trustee is someone many of us know, former school superintendent and headmaster of Latin School, Mike Conampasis, who is calling for efforts, which likely will be in the works for the next calendar year, so the next school year in 2019, that will have access to the ISEE in every 6th grade classroom across the Boston Public Schools, both the 6th grade and the 8th grade. This will be transformative. Studies have shown that African American and Latino students are 20% less likely to take the test in the first place. That will change this, and this is something that will have an incredibly positive outcome on our numbers. Additionally, Mr. Conampasis and the Boston Latin School Association has called on replacing the BPS numeric grading rubric that currently disadvantages its own students in competition for exam school seats relative to charter, private, and parochial school students that are evaluated through a more traditional letter grade model. In everything we do, we must be guided by truly equal and equitable access to the gems of opportunity that are our exam schools. Now, I was proud to have played a role with many of you on 2 of these specific initiatives, specifically the AWC curricula, as well as growing the ESI program to more than 2-fold. And while it's still early on and we still have work to do, we're already seeing some positive results that come from these initiatives. This year's entering 7th and 9th grade classes at the Boston Latin School comprise higher numbers of Black, Latino, and students with mixed racial backgrounds than the school-wide population as a whole, and more than any other grade level within the school. Obviously, we still have a lot more work to do, but I want to highlight the fact that while it's still early, some good things are beginning to happen. Now, as was mentioned by my good colleague from Roxbury, the district councilor from Roxbury, recently the vice chair of the school committee suggested that we scrap the exam altogether and establish a lottery system for our schools. This is the wrong approach. I firmly believe that meritocracy should not be eliminated, but instead opened up equitably to everyone. If we randomly distribute access to opportunities, we devalue the hard work of bright students from all backgrounds. We must eliminate the unfair advantages that privilege gives in our current process and work towards a more perfect meritocracy. I believe competition should be fair, but competition should not be ended. We can maintain a meritocracy while opening access. Our exam schools have been around in some capacity for nearly 400 years. They are enduring institutions that have changed countless lives for the better, including my own. We can protect their integrity while doing more to have them better reflect the vibrancy and the diversity of our city. These two notions are not mutually exclusive. Thank you, Mr. Vice Chair.
Thank you. Would you like to add your name?
Yes,